Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Heal Yourself Naturally. My name is Nicole Dromi. I'm here with Hava Levy and Sarah Woods Kender. We are jumping again into the topic of skin. For those of you who don't remember, we broke down the topic of skin into 3 different podcasts because we want to dive deeper into these topics and really give you guys multiple suggestions, not just talk about skin as an overall organ, but also different problems that arise and then pinpoint solutions for each problem that may arise. So, last podcast, we kind of left you on a cliffhanger when we said, oh, no, we don't have enough time to talk about skin cancer. Um, because really, that topic, we need a good block of time. So that's what we're picking up at. We're talking about skin cancer. We're going to get straight into it because we have so much to discuss just on that alone. And then we have other skin problems that we want to finish off this whole skin discussion on. So let's talk about skin cancer. Um, Sarah, if you can define for me the cause of skin cancer, okay? Because we briefly, well, not briefly, every time we brought a different disease up, a skin disease or a skin condition up, our last podcast, we did refer to it being an internal issue and toxicity arising through the skin, or whether it be like an autoimmune condition that is surfacing from inside the body and coming out for the skin. Would you define skin cancer as something similar or not? And or what is your definition, or how does that arise in people?
I definitely think it's more of an internal situation than an external. I find that, yeah, the sun can be damaging. And I'm not saying the sun isn't involved somehow for some people, but I believe it's just like the terrain theory of the body. There's many people who have a really, really healthy terrain that can get a virus or be in the sun and never gets sun cancer. I mean, skin cancer, but sun cancer. Yeah, and never get skin cancer, but then there's other more susceptible people that aren't as healthy that will get skin cancer being out in the sun too much. And I don't really implicate the sun necessarily, because I think we also have to look at sunscreens and the chemicals that people apply on their skin all the time in regards to being in the sun. And so I do think it's more of a terrain issue. I have an example as well. Um, there are the fair skinned people that could be more susceptible, so there's definitely a nuance to this conversation, but I think the lion's share of the people getting these melanomas are unhealthy. And I think type 2 diabetes has a lot to do with it. I think that the immune system health has a lot to do with it, and I think circulation has a lot to do with it. So one example is a woman that I know got skin cancer on her leg, down on her lower shin, right above her ankle. And it went quite deeply in there. And they had to they took a huge portion of her flesh out. It didn't get to the bone, but it was pretty intense. And so then this person decided to try to warn their family, oh, I got skin cancer, it's genetic, your chances of getting it are pretty high. And I just said to them, cancer's not genetic, let's look at your health. So this person is not a healthy person. They eat too much sugar. They're on at least 7 different medications, and they have poor circulation in the bottom part of their body because they don't move, they sit all the time. And so that is a breeding ground for disease. And so, that's my take on skin cancer. I know some healthy people that get them on their, like, squamous cell, on their nose, which is like a precancerous thing. So yeah, let's consider sun. Let's consider protecting that thin skin on the forehead, on the head, on the nose. But I don't, when my kids were young, I didn't really do a lot of sunscreen. So I wanted them to be in the sun because vitamin D is very important. And then when we get too much sun, we put hats on, we put shirts on, we get out of the sun. So I do believe that that's a better approach for sun protection because, over time, sunburns can cause damage to that skin and make that skin more susceptible to different issues like skin cancer. So that's like my huge take on it. There's lots of pieces and parts, but I think we really need to address first and foremost the terrain of the individual, which increases your susceptibility or not non-susceptibility to disease, and that includes skin cancer. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned something that is very important for people to understand, that putting on sunscreen and then staying out in the sun and have those chemicals seep into your pores, even if it's natural sunscreen, right? Because things that are over the counter, something that you even buy at a health food store, still have chemicals in them.
Right.
So,
And I
and
just want to
regardless,
interject one point, which is excellent, Nicole, is that we have an FDA, right? That hopefully things will change, right? But it's like
yes,
we'll put it in now and wait later. We'll call it GRAS, right? Generally regarded as safe. And even the natural sunscreens have things like titanium dioxide, which is it's a nanoparticle metal. And we don't know what that's going to do to the body over time. I mean, do we have like studies on that? Maybe there are some, but just to reiterate that point, sorry to interrupt you.
yeah, no, absolutely. I think that, like you said, most people are lacking. I mean, everybody's lacking in vitamin D. It's something that we can all attest to, unless you are someone that, is in a place that's native to the sun, like or South America or something like that, where the sun is a constant and you're outdoors a lot. But my point is that there are times to be in the sun. There are times to avoid the sun. There are times where, okay, I'm getting a burn. Now I should go in the shade. Or, like you said, apply protection that is not of a chemical kind, whether it be, um, loose fitting clothing that is of natural fibers, and putting a hat on or getting in the shade or just taking a break from the sun and then going back in so that your skin doesn't get burned. But yeah, I think it's important for people to make educated decisions when they're going into the sun. And one of those being sunscreen. And like you said, people that are more susceptible to getting things around their face, a lot of people or dermatologists will even tell you, you must wear sunscreen on your face in the sun. And that's also something, we are so porous in our face. The skin is more delicate, so we're absorbing more of those chemicals, especially in the heat when you start to sweat and the pores open up more and you're just soaking up all those chemicals.
Yep.
So
And
again, try to make better decisions, whether, on putting on things on your face. I think it's important.
yeah, and that those chemicals go right into the body, right into the lymph, right into the liver,
Right.
and then they're in the blood, and it's not just relegated to the skin.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Chava, care to share your opinion on it?
Well, I agree with everything that Sarah said. That's the basics, like we
Yeah.
discussed last time, right? That means there is some sort of a imbalance inside the body, and that's what we need really to treat, and not the outside. All this misconception about the sun is absolutely ridiculous, because the sun is a healer. And I do want to tell people that when you look at them, when we think that the sun is the one that causing the problem, that's actually an opposite. The sun is the one that pulls out the toxins out of the body and brings to the surface. So, and that's why we cursing the sun, when in reality we don't understand that the sun is just the blessing, because that's the one of the healers is the sun, and the sun pulls the toxins and brings to the surface. And I would always suggest to people who are not on clean diet, who are who I would say living on the East Coast, it's very important for them whenever they've been introduced to the sun, don't jump right away and sit on the sun the whole day. Because as I said before, sun is an absolute healer. So the sun will pull the toxins that been piled on through, let's say, the winter. And this is the biggest mistake. People go into the sun and they think, oh, vitamin D as more is better. No, you have to introduce yourself slowly. First, you're going to sit 10 minutes in the sun. Next day, you can see 20 minutes in the sun. And that's what people don't understand, because once you, let's say, arrive to Florida, all what you want to do just sit by the sun, but you're actually making this mistake. So I always say, do small, like get yourself a small, not small, but short
Acclimated.
exposures,
Yeah.
than having a whole day.
Yeah.
Because what it does is, it's as a sun, as a healer, will go in and start checking. This is the oh, there is so much potato chips you had this winter, or you had so much I don't know, like some unhealthy snacks or popcorn or whatever, and let me pull you out from there. And then it starts to pull the toxins, and then we see the side effects. So remember that forever, it's not the sun to blame, but our behavior. So that's one of the most important things. And I agree with Sarah 100%. No sunscreen. Now, I grew up by the Black Sea. I've never seen anyone applying. And first of all, there was never sunscreens available. We didn't have a store where you buy some white schmutz and you apply over your skin. There was nothing like that. We just knew there's certain times from 9 o'clock till about 11:30 is a wonderful time to be outside. You can swim, you can enjoy the nature, but as soon as it hits around the 11:30, 12, we go all into the shade. And we stay there till about 4 o'clock, between 3, I would say 3:30 or 4. And then at 4 o'clock, we go out again. And then I always was laughing at the people who would come from cold areas, and they would just sit whole entire day. And the next day you see them with these bubbles and the skin and peeling. And this is not a good idea. Okay, so let's put this aside, this thought that the sun is the one that brings this curse on us, so we have to stay away. It's our behavior. And the next thing that I would suggest is well, I agree with everything that Sarah said. That there's not much more. You really have to look into your behavior. And I do also want to mention something that many people maybe don't know, but when we have a moles, or we have something, skin tags, or we have something on the skin, that actually shows you that there is something malfunction. There is some area that there is no blood flow and toxins coming out. So this is actually very important to really explore your body, like check every area. And if there is certain area that you have too much brown moles, or you have these red pimples, this is not just, oh, this is my menopause, or not, it's not because now I'm smoking less or whatever. No, this is all because of the toxins in this. Actually, the body shows you here. You have moles here, too many moles. Well, double check, because maybe your lymph nodes are blocked and you have no other option but to create this ugly moles. They call it beauty moles, whatever. Well, there is a beauty ones, but there is also the ugly ones. And basically, you just shows you that there is something is not okay. So really check your body for every detail. The body is absolutely incredible. It really guides you, but we don't like to look at that way. And whenever something popping on the skin, we just run to dermatologist and either shave it
And
off or
request a
remove
removal,
it.
right?
remove it, or just I don't want to see it. But in reality, I have no problem. Okay, remove it, but it will come back. And if not in that area, it will come back in close by area. And if you understand, so that's the beauty of it. Just explore your skin and you can see what is going on. You have a brown spots. Okay, I have a brown spot, Hava. Your liver is hooked. Okay, yes, thank you. I need to take care of myself. Maybe I should drink less coffee. Maybe I should do some other things, should work on those areas that I know that are correlated to this brown spots, let's say. And all these things that I can shave it off, or I can do the laser and burn the skin, I will become like a snake. You know, those when they do the lasers, it's like a snake peeling off the skin. It's just a waste, because in reality it's internal. So you remove it, you look like for a couple months like a snake peeling off the skin, and I'm telling you, in about a year and a half to two, it will come back. And not just it will come back even worse. And if you do the same thing and without treating the cause of the problem, you will find yourself then with all this horrible diseases, especially the cancer, which is a blood problem. This is the toxins, the blood is toxic. That's it.
Right. So upon post biopsy, if there's a request for removal, you would go ahead and suggest, yes, remove it, but complete lifestyle change, cleansing, more circulation, reducing certain medications, liver cleanse, kidney, all of the wonderful cleanses that you could possibly do in order to clean your blood, clean your gut, get rid of the issue internally so that it doesn't return, spread, and then, continue to arise. Right. I just want to make that clear. I want to reiterate on what you both said.
Well, yes, there is a cases that you can treat by using some herbal treatments like a black ointment with a pine resin in it and many other stuff. And Sarah probably has a lot of wonderful ideas too.
Well, no, I want to talk about
vera.
those next, but I'm
Right.
saying if
No,
someone has biopsed
but
and decided to
what I'm
remove.
trying to say is it's individually to each case.
Right.
Some cases you can treat by using remedies. In other cases, you must remove it. Otherwise, it has roots, and the roots will go in and it will start eating, as Sarah mentioned, can go into the bone. Then it's a problem. It's so deep, the cut. I've seen a couple cases where the person had on the nose and it went so deep, they were supposed to dig it, like it was a huge hole in the nose. So yeah, don't get to that position. And just use common sense, something that many people don't understand. So if it's just a benign, just the beginning, then treat it with herbs and obviously work internally, apply the salves, do whatever. But if you see that it's getting worse or it's getting out of hand, right away treat it, remove it, and work it internally. Yes.
Okay. So if it's something that's benign, let's say, that's also something that that can be treated, if it's non-cancerous, is it something that can be treated with herbs? Okay, so let's get some herbal suggestions, or even just on a minimal scale, like if it's something that has not penetrated through the layers of the skin and gotten to the area of the bone. Sarah, what are some suggestions, herbal remedies that you would refer your clients to?
Okay. So first, there are herbs and food and things like that to help protect yourself from the sun. And so many of us think sun, or, I mean, let's focus on the sun just for a second. Say, like Hava said, you want to acclimate yourself to the sun, but we can also do that without burning, because that does damage your cells. Herbs and food that I suggest people do to strengthen the skin and make you less photosensitive. So there's some people that eat like crap, right? Too much sugar and the crap, processed food and all that. It actually makes them photosensitive. And so those are the ones that burn. right away within 20 minutes of being in the sun. And I did a little experiment on myself. I've changed my diet quite a bit in the last few decades, and I don't burn as bad as I used to. I used to burn really bad, and I'm fair skinned. I am blonde, even though it doesn't really look it. I was more blonde when I was younger. And I started drinking Coca-Cola in tea almost every day, and I don't burn anymore. So there are things that you can do internally. The citrus fruits are particularly good. You want to be getting lots of fruits and vegetables in your diet and dump the sugar and the processed food, and you will actually strengthen your skin that way and be more resilient in the sun. And coincidentally, that's going to help you in your terrain be less susceptible internally. Sorry, a little fly. Internally as well as externally. So things that I would do externally for things that maybe are non-cancerous, I actually have used the black salve for people who have, like one instance, this gentleman had this weird mole, like this big brown mole. It was a mole because the moles are raised, right? It wasn't a liver spot. It wasn't an age spot, whatever they call mature, beauty mark. It was, the liver spots tend to be
Flat.
flat, smooth on the skin. And I have a few that are up just on one side, sun damage, whatever you want to call it. But I look at it as like, okay, your liver was probably struggling at some point in time. But this guy had this raised mole, and I used the black salve, and he only had to do it once, and it popped off his skin.
Wow.
And so I make my own black salve, but I follow the recipe, that's out there. There's a few recipes out there, but I use things like bloodroot. And bloodroot is an endangered plant. So when I source bloodroot, I source it ethically. So I'm sure that where I buy it, it says cultivated. So I don't like it when people wild harvest bloodroot unless it's you yourself doing it and you know the source and you're not killing all the plant. Bloodroot is like I said, it's endangered. It grows in the temperate forests. The Native Americans would use the root as a dye plant, but it was also a pectoral. But it also can induce vomiting and can be very dangerous if you take too much of it. So I don't usually use it internally for anybody, but I do use that powdered in my black salve, as well as like charcoal, and I do use DMSO. And I have some other things like plantain in there just to soothe. So I use that topically for little things like that. I've used that black salve for cancerous cells as well. Several people have used it for different moles. I used it on my dog for he has a hemangiosarcomas that keep popping up, and I'll use that. But my favorite for prevention too is chaga. And so I do a pretty strong chaga decoction and use that as a base for a cream. And then people who have, maybe they're in the risk factor for even non-cancerous things going on their skin, but even cancerous. So I had a friend who reached out to me and said, what can I use for prevention? And I don't really recommend the black salve for prevention, but the chaga cream is pretty safe. And you just apply that daily. And chaga is very antioxidant. It's very anti-tumor. Whereas the black salve can be dangerous if you use it on cancerous cells that are very deep, especially on areas on the face, that you don't know how deep it goes. So you really have to use that, like Hava said, on a case-by-case basis. You have to be mindful of that. So we want to address internally photosensitivities. We want to clean up the diet. We want to, we can treat it topically with certain plants as well. And of course, you want to increase circulation to wherever these lesions may be. We'll just call them lesions, whether they're cancerous or not. And increase circulation. And I know, Hava, you have mentioned clapping a million times, which is an excellent way to increase circulation. She's got her clapper always ready to roll there.
It looks like a spatula right there.
And I recommend.
This is my new product on the
It is
website.
new.
It's actually a very good one.
It looks like it's made of silicone, is it?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
why I love it. Actually, it's really good.
And it's like, you could probably use a spatula you have in your kitchen utensil thing.
Yeah,
So,
honestly.
but I recommend increasing circulation to certain susceptible areas. You could do that internally with things like cayenne and ginger. You could do it externally, and with lotions like ginger. I particularly like ginger, cayenne, rosemary, clove. Anything that's warming will bring blood to that area. And your body knows how to heal. And we know that. This is why we do the work we do. But you just have to give it a little blood, a little, nudge, and your body can do it. And
Right.
so that's how I
And
would.
one of the things that people like Hava said, and you have mentioned many times, is it's surfacing, right? So whatever spot it's in, it's that spot is suffering in your body. And so your body's actually healing itself, and it's not affecting that particular organ or body part, and it's bringing it up to the surface, kind of helping you out over there, and saying, here's your problem. You got to take it out. You got to start cleaning your body. So all of these things, whether they can be viewed as bad, and Hava has said this many times, it's somewhat of a blessing that, oh my gosh, my body's sending me a sign because I'm not too busy, I'm not listening to it, I'm not listening to my symptoms or my life around me or whatever. But here is a visual sign that is telling me, like, wake up call, I need to start changing things because it's coming to the surface. At this point, I know that my body is meaning business. You'll have other issues that can arise if you don't take care of it, immediately. And so, okay, I love the suggestions that you made about, also increasing the body's or decreasing the body sensitivity to the sun, as well as acclimating. Some people are just of the fairer skin, right? And the more toxic your body is, or it may not even be toxic. Like, there's people who have illnesses that are also more susceptible to, photosensitivity, because the body is going through so much already that the sun, like Kava mentioned, is bringing it out more. So, I think those are great suggestions. Hava, can you give us a couple of remedies, herbs, or salves that you use or suggest, or a recipe that someone can make on their own for either cancerous or non-cancerous moles, and, different type of skin cancers, if they're not too deep? We do want, it's by case, people. We want you to understand that you can't do it for something that's too deep in the body. It does need to be removed completely.
Right. Amazing. So I have a couple things pop out now in my mind, because it's such a amazing topic. We can speak all day long and we'll never finish it. But there's certain things. First of all, problem acidity, right? Acidity, that's what brings the problems. Body's too acidic, so we kind of have to try to bring it to the balance. And I found that taking okay, so again, it's individual, but it will help with many people. It will not harm you. Okay, taking baking soda, a quarter teaspoon in a half cup of warm water by the morning before you are eating or drinking something, that will bring your pH balance into the normal. So that I would suggest for some people who are having skin issues. That's a kind of quick detoxifier. It's not a solution for all, but it's a good beginning to try to bringing your body to some sort of a normal pH, because the disease begins when we have a problem or too alkaline or too acidic. So we have to kind of work to bring the body into the balance. And one of those is, I found, the soda. Soda water is absolutely incredible. And you might think that's crazy. Why you never spoke about that? Well, because I usually don't speak things that I don't try on myself. And if I try something then and I see that there is something into it, and by learning more about the topic, then I allow myself to spew this stuff. But so So soda is important, and make sure that you get a good baking soda. We're talking about not the seltzer soda, but the baking soda. So try this in the morning and see how you are feeling. Do you have more energy? Do you feel that your body kind of no more acidity? Do you feel like more, I would say your skin gets kind of more, there is something happening in the body when you consume soda. Now, I'm not suggesting to taking this now from me from now for 20 years, but at least for a month, you can try. It will not harm you. Another thing that I would suggest is a clay. Clay is absolutely incredible, and it's wonderful to do a clay bath. Or if you cannot get into the clay bath, or then go by the ocean side, but the clean side, not where there is needles and all this. I'm sorry to say, all the drug addicts. Here we have plenty. But
But
in the
even our
clean
ocean
area.
right now in California, on our side of the coast at least, there's a ton of oil, and so yeah,
I
it's
know.
really hard to.
It's kind of hard to say, but I think
Yeah.
lakes in Oregon and different areas you can. Let's say I bring a wonderful clay by the name Golden Clay. It's absolutely incredible. It is in a golden color, something that we rarely see here. And this clay is incredible to apply over your skin, apply over your liver, apply over the areas where you see those skin tags. Again, we're going to treat the area where the body tells you, here, listen, under the boobs, you have too much brown dots. Okay, that means you have a toxins. Let's treat these areas. Okay, so clay, my favorite. You just mix it with some water and you apply over the area, and then cover it with the plastic, and then cover it with some something to keep it on. So that's another wonderful way. Like I would suggest go by the if you can travel to Israel, go into the mud bath. If you travel to Europe, go to these heating places where they have this. I don't know if we have here. I
Yeah,
didn't
we do.
explore much. We do. So go those areas where you can
Hot
soak your
springs.
body
Yeah,
into
hot
the
springs.
very well. And it's absolutely incredible and healing. The next thing I would suggest is this my favorite skin cleanse thing that I do. It's absolutely
Vodka.
incredible. It's in the vodka. Vodka is a preservative, but it's absolutely incredible. And I prepared this in my class. You see, there's a settlement there. It's just a combination of minerals and vodka. I can mention few just to teach people. So it's about, I use a fossil shell inside. It's absolutely incredible. So you just get a vodka.
Like diatomaceous earth?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
yes. So you basically get, let's say, half bottle of vodka. Drink the top if you and just pile up inside.
Mommy's
That's
little
the
helper.
Peruski coming out in her. The Peruski.
The paruski, but I never actually drink vodka
I know.
myself.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
But no, I'm just joking. Okay, so the fossil shell you would just dump inside. Then you dump about 2 tablespoons of baking soda. Then you put inside 2 tablespoons of MSM, which is a sulfur, right? That will help to soothe the skin. Then you add soleil salt solution. Here again, the minerals. It's absolutely incredible. And then you add on top of it, you can add iodine inside if you want to, but not necessarily. And then you have one of the most powerful solutions to clean your body. And it's incredible. You can clean your face with it. You can clean your body. And as I mentioned last time, you just after the shower, when you think that you scrubbed yourself, just take this, put it on the towel, and start scrubbing yourself again, and you'll see how much toxins we still have. So that's another one. Open the pores, the clay, the charcoal, and then what a few other things I have. Okay, slippery elm as a poultice is incredible, right? Slippery elm is soothing. It's incredible. You can use in combination. Dr. Schultz actually was using combination of slippery elm and clay, and I think he used golden seal, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. And he would put them on the areas where people had the cancers. And the slippery elm is absolutely incredible. And I witnessed the slippery elm powder miracle when there was one case of one woman who was lying in a bed, and because of that she got severe ulcers on the skin. It was so bad. There was no diaper creams and zinc, whatever they would apply, it would just become sores, so painful sores. So the best thing that I suggest is just take a slippery elm and apply over those areas. And slippery elm fed those areas, and her skin healed absolutely beautifully. So yeah, herbs are incredible and they can do so much. Other things that I would suggest, garlic. Oh, don't forget about the
On a
garlic.
cancerous, like on skin cancer, garlic, or
Well,
internally?
internally and externally, the garlic is antibacterial and antifungal, right? So that's what is the cancer? It's some sort of a fungi, some
Right.
sort of a parasite.
But not press it where the juices get on it, because then you can burn your skin, correct?
Yeah, well, I never suggest applying garlic straight. It can be a garlic oil or can be
Okay.
garlic tincture.
I want to make
And-
sure, because I made the mistake one time of doing that to my child and I burned their skin so badly.
Okay, there's one more herb that are popping, chaparral.
Oh, yeah.
Chaparral. Oh my gosh, the chaparral is incredible, and I used also on my dog. And chaparral, I think it's one of the most incredible, but you really have to be careful to know how to use it, because it is a strong detoxifier by the end. Similar to maybe to the red, the blood, right? The one that you use,
Blood
the
red.
raisin. But chaparral is incredible, yeah.
Oh, the resin. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's what I would suggest. And the castor oil packs are incredible too.
Love you.
Castor oil packs should be used, obviously, not what Amazon and all the advertisers and Queen of on Thrones are suggesting, which is the application without heat. This is just ridiculous. I don't know
Overnight.
what this is.
Yeah.
I mean, I have people who are doing that, and they just walking tired the whole entire
What
day.
are they doing? What?
They're just applying this. Okay, so many
A
years ago,
castor oil patch.
Oh, the whole
And
castor oil
the castor oil
extravaganza.
pack, it become a whole heat. And it's very interesting that in America people suddenly learn something, and doesn't matter if it applies to you, everybody rush to do it.
That's
Oh my
Nobody
God,
really
it's so
learning about the basics. It's like they don't understand. You have to use, again, common sense. You can't just use it and I realize I have to clean my liver, so now I'm going to work 24/7 with this liver pack on my liver. Do you know what? First of all, you don't do nothing in
I've known people who've done that, and then their liver enzymes go out of, way up. It's like, and I just want to rant for a second. I can always tell when something goes through the ethers, because someone comes in the shop and, parasites is one. It's like everyone,
right.
we have to do the parasite thing. It's like, okay, that's fine. You may or may not, but let's assess the situation before you just start throwing antiparasitics. I had a client that did that. Now her gut's all screwed up. It's like,
right.
But then there's the AI, which is an issue.
Oh my gosh.
It's like AI Oprah is touting people go on quercetin, mountain root, and berberine
Someone asked me
for
about
weight
quercetin
loss.
yesterday. Yeah.
I'm like,
Really?
people don't know what they're doing. They call me up and say, Oprah said this. And I said, what did Oprah say now? Like, she ought to just stick to books, okay? Just, what did she say? And it's like this 3 thing for weight loss. I said, look, berberine is not a plant. It's a constituent, and it can really throw off your gut microbiome. So you might want to consider something else for weight loss, like dump the sugar, I mean, all right, end rant. But it's like people want to put something in their body
Mic drop.
instead of taking something away. It's like, okay,
Right.
I'm done.
Right. No, but
Right.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I think this is it's beautiful that people open to learn.
Yeah.
But on the other hand,
It's
you
not open
really
to
have
learn.
to
It's willing to follow. That's the issue.
maybe,
And I think,
yes.
yeah,
That's why
it's willing to follow
so many
without
people fall as a
any
trap
regard to their health.
at
Right.
the COVID time. It just shows you how generation is so low and
It's gimmicky. It's so much gimmick
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Just
I
And
know, and as more fancy, and just today I had this. One of the members sent me a message of someone who posted on Instagram that the Ziploc bags are cancerous, dangerous, and we have to throw them out. So now, how we're gonna do the charcoal poultice? Like, I understand that we all want to strive on the social media. We all want to put something out there, but repeating the same ideas without really helping people, and just all the time this fear, get away from this, get away from, so people don't no longer have a solution, just have this fear, and then by the end we don't gain nothing from it, just by scaring people, stay away, stay away,
and
stay
it
away, stay
confuses
away.
people.
Oh,
People are
come on. So
confused.
Ziploc, mix it in a Ziploc with some water and charcoal and a cold. Nobody puts hot soup inside. Yes, if you put hot soup, you obviously already know that you're doing something incorrectly because it will sting, it will smell. But these simple things, and so it's just like we become a culture that no longer think, but just a culture of followers. Just let's
So,
follow. It doesn't matter whoever's jumping and whoever's spewing whatever they spew. You
and
just
it's people spewing stuff that, in my opinion, some people are educated and have, the experience to do it. But then there's people like, and I know, okay, maybe it wasn't really Oprah. They're using her likeness, whatever. But someone famous said to do it, and so we do it without actually looking. And this is what I kind of I say all the time. It's like, I'm here in my community holding space for people who want to learn about this stuff. But they would prefer, a lot of times they're fed this information from social media, and then they want to self-medicate without really knowing what they're doing. And a lot of people come to me and say, "What do you think about this?" Which is great. I love it when people do that because they want to be educated. Then there's a whole bunch of other people that just have all this stuff in their cabinets that are half done, half, powders and pills and stuff that they took for 3 days and go, "Oh, I didn't get anything out of that." So they waste all this money, so there's so much of that going on. It's like, oh, this spiel, then I'm going to sell you something. If you really want to find a pathway to health, then you'll consult with somebody that has experience, but really, like, you've got to research this stuff before you put it in your body, because you could be on certain medications, you could have an adverse reaction because you have an allergy to something that you didn't realize was that something you're allergic to that's in the product, and things like that. So another rant, I know, but it's like, this is what we're doing this for, right? So people
exactly.
learn. Yeah.
right.
And
I
I'm
mean,
so grateful for that we are here together and we're trying to educate. It's like my dream come true that you have something to give, and I'm with my broken English trying to give something from my side. And thank you for Nicole giving her time. And
Absolutely.
it's just what we do. We're just trying to give you what we see and from our hearts. I mean, we're just sending the information your way. You continue from there.
Right.
right.
Let's
And
do
even not to discredit anything that any of you guys have ever suggested, but whatever has been suggested here, please do the research on it, because just because someone said something doesn't mean you have to follow it. We are giving you knowledge that has been tested by both these women's, by personal case studies throughout the years. Combined, you guys have over 40 years of experience together, and of treating people naturally with herbal medicines and different types of healing processes. And so we want you to educate yourself. That's the whole point of this podcast, is education. And not a 30-second viral TikTok video that's, something that was an app that was created to literally, the creators, it was literally created to make America stupid, has succeeded. Yes,
Yeah.
because that's what they
Yeah,
said. These, the creators
definitely.
of it in China, they succeeded in making America stupid because it's a fast, instant gratification of visuals and music and whatever, and nice writing and artfully created snippet of time where you gain very little information and then you're just following, like Hava says, like a sheep to the slaughterhouse.
Yes.
Sheep,
um,
Sheep
even if it
listen.
is something that's beneficial, but all of these
right?
trends that are created nowadays are pretty stupid when you think of them. Uh, but yes, please educate yourself before doing anything and do the ample amount of research prior to jumping headfirst on a on a trend. Anyways, now that we did discuss skin cancer in a great length. We only have about 15 minutes left to our podcast. So I do want to discuss a couple of other things skin related. We kind of touched on it a tad bit with what we were discussing, but like skin funguses.
Right.
So different types of rashes and moles can be caused by a skin fungus. Hava did suggest, creating a pH in the body, which does help eliminate funguses, things like clay and charcoal poultices, which for anybody who doesn't know what a poultice is, it's an herb mixed with a liquid created into a paste and applied onto the area. So for whoever doesn't know what a poultice is, it's kind of like a cream that you make either from an herb or a powder. And then it's pressed onto the area, left there in order to do its job. It has to be left there for at least an hour or more, depending on what it is and what you're trying to what you were trying to do. So any other suggestions for a fungus, Sarah?
Yes,
Oh yeah.
Sarah, you say, and then I will speak.
Yeah.
Little bit.
Well, Hava mentioned chaparral, which is an excellent
Right.
antifungal. I also suggest people, well, the feet are usually lacking circulation, so then we want to bring circulation to the feet. So I always suggest people do like a lymph massage with ginger oil or just a light touch massage with ginger oil because that will help warm the feet. Cayenne's a good option too. We could do foot soaks with ginger. I like rosemary. I like thyme. I like, your pizza seasoning is a great option for if you don't have a lot of herbs at your disposal. That's wonderful for foot fungus. In the shop, I tend to recommend an essential oil blend. And I usually do things like cedar oil, tea tree oil is particularly good. And then I also do, what's the other one I put in there? Usually like lavender or rosemary, one of those. And it's, I use these essential oils neat on the toenails. If it's toenail fungus, these essential oils are safe to use. I'm not a big essential oil person, and I never usually suggest them neat on the skin. Otherwise, you should always use a carrier oil with essential oils. But when there's the toenail fungus, it really is stronger when you do it neat. And then you want to try to get under the nail too as much as you can. I've had pretty good luck with that, with that trio of essential oils, foot soaks. I love the idea of even clay or any kind of poultice that way, but absolutely increasing circulation. And then, if it's toenail fungus, you have to consider your shoe situation. What are you wearing for shoes? Are they contaminated? Are they allowing you to have circulation in your feet? What do you do for work? And sometimes even just a foot soak with like rose petals and something that's calming will just help release tension and bring in circulation, and the body can heal itself. But that's what I usually do for like toenail fungus. Um, I do like the resins too, so you could use a topical salve for things like that if it's on the skin, not the nail. But usually if it's on the nail, I like the essential oils.
And if it's on the skin, a combination of what you mentioned before, like ginger.
Yeah, you could
Uh,
do that, but then you're doing your antifungals and say, that essential oil trio, you could put in a carrier oil and apply to the skin.
onto
several
the area
times a
of the body.
day.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And then obviously increase circulation.
yeah.
So even if it's just rubbing the area, creating movement,
Yeah.
circulating, making sure those blood cells are moving, um, clapping, even soaking the entire body in a nice hot bath if possible. If you don't have a bathtub, Hava has suggested many times the wonders of hydrotherapy, which is hot and then very cold and then hot again, very extremely hot, extremely cold, extremely. So, switching off about 3 to 4 times, and that way your body can start circulating. You create more circulation throughout the entire body, get the blood pumping, and then you can apply, whether it be those trio of essential oils with a, like Sarah mentioned, a carrier oil, so an additional oil that is not as harsh. Something like, maybe would you suggest coconut oil or olive oil as a carrier oil?
Sure,
Right,
coconut if it's maybe an MCT,
right,
because the coconut is typically a saturated oil, so it's not as easy to combine with the essential oils.
right,
But usually, like a olive oil, grapeseed oil, MCT oil are all really good carriers.
right. Okay, great. Hava, any suggestions? First of all, you can break it down into like a nail fungus and then like a overall skin
Right.
fungus.
Well, I'm a professor when it comes to the nail fungus because when I was younger, I suffered, and it took me quite many years to research a lot of herbs and approaches, and I would say that I'm slowly getting there. I basically know how to treat the nail fungus. I mean, I'm literally trying for maybe, I would say maybe 18, 19 years, trying everything and anything, all different remedies. I'm up into something. So number one is balance the gut flora, and the gut flora, that means whenever there is a itching in the skin, that means yeast overgrowth. Yeast overgrowth you have to balance with probiotics. Now superdafulis are very good to start. I do not suggest taking superdafulis 2 or 3 times a day. You have to start slowly. Now it depends on the condition. Is it one nail, two nails? If it is a whole entire row, is it nails on the bottom and also nails on the hand? If it's nails on the hand and on the leg, that's, unfortunately, I'm sorry to break it, but that means that the person is absolutely, he diseased. The person has a liver that's been eaten up, and unfortunately to say, there is a cancer right on the corner. Unfortunately, I know that it seems kind of crazy, but this is just a sign. Whenever I see nails are eaten up and nails at the bottom eaten up, I know that there's something that's so severe that needs a major change in the whole entire complete change in the way the person behaves, eats, drinks, and so etc., etc. But if we're talking the simple ones like one nail or two nail fungi, okay, so if it's not too deep, so then what Sarah suggested, like all these raisins and all these strong herbs, oregano, all these are absolutely incredible. They will do the tea tree, they will do the job. But when it gets to something that it's a chronic, when let's say the fungi is not only for a month and it's gone, but we're talking about as many are suffering for something that it stays for years, right? And it's not going away. The nail grows in and you think it looks better, but it's not good because the bedding, it's not because the fungi is there, because the fungi is on the how you say it,
Surface?
on the bones, because the
Oh,
nail comes from the bone. So there is the bone is already infected. So you really have to treat the bone health as well. That's where circulation, what Sarah's saying, is incredibly important, because you help to regenerate, right? So that's one thing. Then in this case, there is a couple important things you can do besides taking probiotics. Well, I create this formula where you soak your feet in the vinegar and vinegar solution, but not live vinegar, because live vinegar would actually feed up the fungi, okay? Because the vinegar is also fungi, it will feed up the fungi. Not a good idea. You want a pasteurized vinegar, and you soak in these herbs that I usually suggest, which combination of wonderful herbs that help to rebuild the nail, and the soaking helps to open up and bring in the herbs into the area where they're needed. But this is like, again, it's like a good beginning. Next is absolutely incredible is a turpentine, but you cannot use turpentine by itself. It needs to be combined with other things. So you can combine turpentine with a little bit let's say castor oil, and dilute it, and then apply over the nail. Now turpentine will kill everything and anything, so that's another wonderful suggestion. Remedy number 3, I know it's crazy, but I did figure out that I did. I'm telling you, I'm so happy. Iodine. Now many people don't understand, but I've heard this about iodine many years ago when I was still young and in Georgia, and people would say, oh, I had a fungi, I apply iodine, is done. Now it's reminded me to go back to the same roots and relearn this again. Yes, iodine, DMSO, and silver combined together, application a few times a day will kill any sort of a fungi. Oh, Hava, genius. Okay. So a couple times a day, it's a must.
She's invested in this fungi
up.
business.
Yeah, so
No,
I
I'm
want to meet
telling
this
you,
guy.
I'm like so good in it, because I have so many people and that are suffering. I'm gonna make millions when I figure out this medicine. I
Okay,
did
so but
already
what you
one.
say, this is only for a nail fungus,
Nail
or
fungus, and itchiness as
this
well.
what you're suggesting is only for a nail fungus. What about
Nail
a
fungus,
topical
that's the
fungus
most
on
ugly stuff. Nobody can figure out how the hell to treat this.
right?
Nobody
No.
can figure out exactly. And because people don't understand, first of all, it takes time. If you're consistent doing this every day, 3 or 4 times a day, okay, I cannot do because I work. Okay, do in the morning, then when you come back from work, and then do before you go to sleep. That's 3 times a day. Application of the iodine, DMSO, and silver water, which is silver hydrosol, or you can just use the water, simple. It's absolutely incredible. I'm going to put this on my website, this medicine. Incredible. Makes a wonderful job. And then you're going to use something that everyone sells on Amazon. It's called Novix, something like, it's like one of the best sellers to kill the fungi on Amazon. Okay. It's like a white solution. Yes, it's not herbal, no nothing, but it helps to remove this the buildup of this yellow material that's under the nail, that actually is the one that destroys the padding and the nail cannot grow nicely. You get the point? Okay, so application of iodine, and then in between application of this nonix, whatever, and cutting the nails, ensure that you remove this dead skin. It's so important. The new nails will come up and you will have amazing healing. Yay!
Yay!
Hava invested 19 years of her life to this. So you listen carefully.
No, I'm telling you, it's absolutely. I have so many people who
No, I don't discredit it. I know when we have talked in the past 7 years that I've been working with you, it has come up so many times. You have some videos on your website, on your Instagram as well, for anybody who wants to go on Hava's Instagram. Hava Wellness is our handle.
Anyway,
I've seen videos on it on your Instagram. I think it's incredible. But what about like a fungus that is on the skin itself?
Iodine. Just application of iodine will get rid of this problem.
Okay.
And if you are sweating a lot, then we have antifungal powder, which is usually a blend of some calamus and some clays, which is green clay. And I also use the golden seal. I use the golden clay. And then I also use a little bit golden seal and plantain and a little bit tea tree. This is wonderful to put between the toes. And as Sarah mentioned, it's so important, and I think you mentioned, Nicole, too, is not to forget to change the socks. Do not wear plastic shoes. This is another big issue. Most people are wearing plastic shoes. Plastic gather bacteria, sweat, and then they reintroduce the same bacteria. Socks must be cotton. You like it or you don't like it, must be cotton, must. And you have to never reuse the same socks. I mean, this is a big problem. Some people just want to reuse the same sock. It's easy. Never, never, never. As you do the same thing with your underpants, the same way with the socks. No such thing wearing the same sock over and over till it gets the shape of the leg of the feet. No. Okay, so then so the shoes are so important that many people don't understand that shoes are basically part of the problem. Like Sarah mentioned, she said like narrow shoes are problem, but also this all man-made materials are a huge problem. Always
Right.
look for natural state, which is a leather 100% leather. Yeah, so that's
let your feet
basically
breathe. They have
yeah,
to breathe.
it's so important. Yes, and the
Going
plastic,
back to whoever
And
wants
get
to
out in the
watch
sun. Yeah.
one of
yeah,
our, I think our first video was on circulation. I remember Sarah mentioning one of the first things you ever mentioned was
yes,
foot fungus
okay,
case and lack of circulation and how it
Yes.
created that. So again, please remember things that are on the skin in general, or whether they be, any type of fungus in the nails, are number one thing is a lack of circulation. The toxicity in the body is surfacing, it's not able to clean itself. You are doing something in your body, it is responding. There are many ways to get rid of it naturally. You just have to work with your body, give it that little push, like Sarah said earlier, give it a little nudge, and your body will start doing its own thing. But yeah, you do have to keep up with it. For something as tricky as a nail fungus, it's something that you do have to work constantly to try to get rid of. And you can get rid of it, like Hava mentioned, after 19 years of figuring out the perfect recipe for her clients. She has mastered it. I think we did go a little bit over. I was going to say we can talk about a couple more things, but again, people, skin in general, right? Let's bring our three podcasts together and talk about how it's internal, it's coming to the surface. The sun is not bad for you. The sun is good for you in moderation. Allow your body to acclimate. If you are someone who is more sensitive to the sun, there are herbs that can help you with it. If you are getting rashes, allergies, et cetera, we have given you all the tools that you need in this last three podcasts to help you with any type of skin issues. We really hope you enjoyed it. Our next time that we are meeting, we didn't give you guys a schedule, but again, please follow our social medias accounts for announcement, whether it be Sarah's personal one, Hava's personal one, or the Heal Yourself Naturally Facebook page. We will announce our upcoming podcast dates. For our next one, it will be June 4th. That is a Wednesday at the same time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time and 1 p.m. Pacific. We will be talking about head, nose, and throat, and ears, so all of that. So we have so much to talk about in that series. It'll be broken up probably to 4 different podcasts, so we can really break down different parts of the head.
yep.
So yes, we are excited about this and the new way that we are doing things. We do hope that you like it. If you have any suggestions, please, please, please reach out to us. Or if you have, just feedback. We love feedback. We love questions. Today, I don't see anything up on our chat, so we won't be going over any of that. If questions do arise in the future, you can reach out to us on our channels. We have a YouTube channel as well. We will do our best to get back to you in a timely manner Thank you all for seeing us and being with us and watching or listening at Heal Yourself Naturally. Have a beautiful, blessed day.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.